advise, and Dean, to your question of if you will get slides, again, I'm not going to have slides, but we are going to be recording this. So I just want to notify everybody it is going to be recorded and it will be available for access from our website. Or Sharonda, if I'm incorrect on that location, please step in and let me know. But
No, you're right. It'll be on our
okay.
website, on our homepage. Yes.
Yeah. So, anyhow, so getting started. Good morning, everybody. I appreciate you being here for this open house. My name is Melissa Garner. I just recently took the division chief of operations position here at procurement. Um, Sorry, if everybody could please make sure you mute, that would be helpful. Um, I am working with Grace and the Division of Business Relations and Compliance in doing these open houses now. We are switching back and forth between their division and then the Division of Operations so that I can hopefully help provide a little bit more insight into some of the um, some of the elements from our end, or how the interaction or doing business with us goes beyond just the compliance side of things. So today, ultimately, what I'm going to be doing is walking through some items on our website. One for projections, so upcoming solicitations, and also just a couple of key areas where maybe not everybody knows it exists, or maybe to give a little bit more explanation to it could help the vendors in maneuvering through this, or understanding, oh, it exists, I just didn't know where it was at, because there's a lot of stuff out there and we've tried to do a really good job of providing like 24/7 access to certain elements of our procurement processes so that it's easier for y'all to go on there and use it whenever you need it. But if it's a lot of information and you're not really sure where to look, then I could totally understand where maybe you just don't realize it's on there. Um, but that being said, I am joined today by Grace and her team from the Business Relation and Compliance Division. And there are many procurement specialists and procurement managers, buyers on the operation side that are also on here in case we have any questions that come up at the end, which I'll try to make sure we allow time for that. And hopefully we can get some of your questions answered. So just jumping into this, what you see right now is our main page for the Office of Procurement. We've done a lot to upgrade this and add more content and make it a lot more efficient and user friendly. But again, like I said, I know there's a lot on here, so we'll just maneuver through a handful of things. If you do have questions as we go along, like I said, I'll allow time at the end, but if you have anything in particular, you can drop it in the chat. And Bethany, I'll just ask if you see stuff dropped in the chat, if you want to try to ping me, because I can't see all of that as I'm moving through this. All right, so this is our main page, and one of the key things that I wanted to go over is the future upcoming solicitations. So you would go to the Solicitations and Contracts tab, and then go over to Formal Solicitations. And in this, just to touch on what this specific part is anything that's listed in here are any formal solicitations that are currently advertised. Whether it's RFP or IFB, that's where they're advertised here. So that's under solicitations, formal solicitations again. So anything that's already out there, you can come in here and this is where you'd be able to gather the information, and it shows like when the bid opening, RFP closing is. That's where you find the information for active advertisements. But if you go over here into solicitation projections, there's a little, how do I use this? Again, we try to provide as much information on here as possible, but just walking through it a little bit, what this ultimately is information associated to solicitations that may have been initiated already by the departments and have been sent to procurement for review and they're not ready to be posted yet, but this just puts it on people's radar that it's brewing, so to speak. So it's there. We're working on it. Is there a guarantee that all of these will be eventually posted? No, not necessarily, because by the time we get to the point where maybe they were anticipating advertising it, it could very well have been canceled, or they no longer need the service, or something else might have come up. So please understand, anything that is on here is just kind of a in the works, but not guaranteed, not currently advertised, and can be in various stages of completion for whether or not it's going to be advertised. Part of what we do in here is we provide the department that's associated to it, what type of solicitation, all the solicitation details. And then you'll see some of the information that we're able to provide you is if it's a local small business reserve solicitation, or if it's local business preference. We try to give you as many of the general details so that way you can further, break down what you want to focus on. But when you come over here in the estimated date of issuance, again, these are estimated because these are all a work in progress. So, this first one, is it guaranteed to be out this fall? No, but it's being worked on. It's going back and forth in the review process, but this just gives you a heads up for that. So this is where you would see like when you should expect something to be around, but you can keep checking back to this and see if it's been updated at all. So I just wanted to walk through that to give you a little breakdown as to how to read this and the type of information you can get. But, you know, you can see this is a full aspect of everything that's there, but you're able to go here. And if you know that your service or goods would be associated to any particular type of department, like if you're construction, you may not need TEBS, where it's IT commodities. So you can come here and you can, choose whichever one it is that you may be that something's posted for. So this gives you the opportunity to, dive down into a little bit of a deeper search on what you may need. So see, once I did that for DEP, then it just brings this up. So it lets you focus a little bit more on this. Or if there's a certain solicitation type, whether it's an IFB or an RFP, if you don't want to worry about RFPs and it's just IFB, okay, you can break it down in that manner too. So again, you have the local small business reserve or preference program, and then the purchasing category. When you have that category in there, it helps you again, if you're goods, but you're a regular services vendor, like if you are an engineering firm or whatever, then you might not want to have to worry about goods, but you may be interested in construction or professional services. But these are just the ways that you can break it down in a little bit more um, focus for you instead of having to go through what could potentially be a very, very long list. Just depends on what the activity is in procurement at the time. But one other thing I do want to show is, again, we try to provide you as much information as possible. So as opposed to just putting it out there and then saying, okay, this solicitation type, we give you another step to go where what is an IFB and an RFP, just in case people don't understand the acronyms or whatever the case may be. So if I click on this, it's going to take y'all over to an additional page where it's procurement terminology. This is something else that you can get if you go directly to it via our website. But it right now, since I clicked on it from the solicitation page, it just took me over there to answer that specific question. But going back to this, so invitation for bid. So we give that more specific, breakdown as to what it is that that specific solicitation type is. So this just leads me to talking about, here's another access point for you to gain more information on acronyms if you're not familiar with them, or procurement, definitions or descriptions, whatever the case may be. We try to put it in here, and this is pulled from regulations and code and everything, so that you can have a more direct place to go for things that may immediately affect you in your general researching, or if you're coming through here just looking through some stuff. So again, when we have these little items, you say, what is LSBRP? So that takes you to our LSBRP site. Again, this is another direct one you could go to, but we're trying to connect things so that you don't have to go and try to find individual stuff all by itself if it's cross-referenced somewhere else.
We have a question, Melissa. I don't know if we wanted to break
Oh,
here, and someone's got their hand up. Mr. Colm, John Colm, did you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
If it doesn't interrupt you too much, Melissa, then yeah, please.
sure.
My question, I think others will be interested as well, is on either the actual procurements or the planned procurements, either of those locations, can you register an interest and be automatically emailed?
Yes, so that was another thing that I was going to be touching on today, is
Okay,
how,
right.
yeah, so I will get there, but a general answer is yes. There's a mechanism that can set you up to receive emails based on commodity codes that have been put out. So I will get there in just a little bit.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. All right, so going back to projections, I know that there are probably a vast array of different vendors on here, so I don't necessarily want to, specify to any particular department. What I'm trying to do more of, though, is give you a better understanding of where you can go to focus on this type of information. So you can see, like, just a general glance, there's stuff for stormwater management. You get into HHS stuff, so the medical supplies, like, it will cover everything that's out there. But again, this is potential, it's in the works, not guaranteed, and it's rough dates on when it may come out. If you want to go and see what is out now, a reminder, you go back to solicitations, formal solicitations, and here's your formal IFBs and RFPs. And I'll go back real quick. Then you also have your informal and open solicitations. The informals are posted on our website. However, informals are primarily handled at the department level, because they're $100,000 or less. And when departments develop that at a smaller scale, the majority of the steps are handled in the department. And procurement, we are a conduit to assist in the overall process, but the majority of the responsibility does lie with the department. But this is another page that you can go to. You'll see those informals and the open solicitation. So here's the informal, but then if you scroll down, here's all the open solicitations. And if it's posted here, that means, it's available. You'd go on there, you'd reach out to the department and work with them on whether or not you wanted to move forward with a contract. So, again, if you needed an understanding of what open solicitation is or informal, you would go to the to either you can go to the solicitations projections, where it has, like, how you can get there, or under vendor resources, this is where you're able to go and kind of break down into a little bit more detail of things that may assist you more. And here's that procurement terminology right here. That could take you to all of the details that I referenced before. So that being said, I want to be aware of time and make sure that I get through as much as I can, but also give y'all time to ask questions. So I will move on to the next thing. but hopefully just giving a rundown of those projections, or at least where you can find it and how you can sort it to better assist your focus. Hopefully that gave a little bit of insight to that. Now, the next thing I wanted to do specifically is come over to the vendor resources, because this is where we have tried to put as much information as possible to help y'all when you need it. You know, it's one thing if it's during business hours and y'all can reach out to us. But it's another thing if you're working on something, you know, the county isn't open, it's off hours, and you can come here and get additional information that should be available to you. So, but walking through this, going back to the question before, is what do you do if you're a new vendor? How do you get notified, etc.? So you can introduce your business to the county. Maybe there's something not posted already, and you're just like, hey, just FYI, here's my information. You know, this is it. It opens that unsolicited information to be, you know, it's a housing mechanism, so to speak. It's somewhere you can go that if nothing's out there right now, you can at least provide your information and your unsolicited information relative to your business, company, etc. But then for under the register your business with the county, I can't necessarily go through a whole process from my end when it comes to CVRS, but this tells you what you would need to do, and it ultimately directs you to go to CVRS. And when you register, so in the open house topic, it was not only projections, but it's like, where do I start? This is a key element of where you start, because if you are not in the central vendor registration system, then we cannot do business with you in the sense of being able to establish a contract, being able to pay you in our system, i.e., even for DPOs, which are direct purchase orders with a threshold of $10,000 or less, like that doesn't come through us as a procurement. But if a department even wants to do business with you within that threshold, the payment mechanism going through Oracle, like if you're not registered here, then that's not set up. Like the connection can't be made. So if you were to be able to provide some sort of services or goods, one of the things they would initially say to you is, hey, you need to go register in the system so you can get connected into the county, you know, processes basically. But so you would come here and you would register your company. When you get into this, it's going to act like this is where you're going to put all your financial information, business information, you know, state business information. And it's also where it would ask you, like, what are your services? And you can put in and Sharonda or Grace, if I misspeak on this, simply because I've not particularly gone into this and done it, but I'm familiar with what it is. That's where you can register like the commodity codes you're associated to, or if you're a local small business and you're certified, or a minority business and you're certified, you'd start entering all of this information in to make sure that that's captured in the system. And with those commodity codes and, you know, if you're certified any of the socioeconomic programs, then you would be able to get an email blast if certain solicitations come out that are relative to that. Again, Sharonda or Grace, if I am not explaining that correctly or could, you know, boost a little bit of an explanation, by
Yeah,
all means, step in.
I'll add to that, because when you register for the first time, they're going to ask you for one commodity code, and you're going to put that in to satisfy the request. But we're going to highly, highly, highly suggest that you go back into CVRS once you complete the full registration and enter as many commodity codes, service codes that apply to your organization. Melissa will probably circle back to projections. There's a column for commodity codes. If you see something that is of interest to you, you're going to enter that. But look at all the other options that are out there. There are a ton. And if there's even a slight commodity code that pertains to your company, you're going to want to enter that through CVRS. So there's a search engine there where you can search by code or by description. So look at everything that your company offers and just keep adding them. Add everything. It's better to have more than nothing, because that's how we notify you, is through these commodity codes. So keep that in mind if you're registering. And if you are an already existing vendor, just go back to your vendor profile from time to time to look at see what commodity codes are associated with your company and make sure they're current and up to date.
So again, to answer the previous question, that is how you get notification, but it takes the step on the vendor side to make sure that the information is in there so that we can send it to the correct place. Don't just put, you don't necessarily want to just put a generic email if that's the mechanism you want to be using in order to make sure you get these notifications. Like, put in good emails so that that's where it's being sent. So ultimately, again, going back to this is 100% one of the first things you need to do, especially if you are certified in any of the socioeconomic programs, because you're going to be able to provide all that information. It has to be, once you're in the system, any local small business stuff that comes up, or minority business, et cetera, like, there's reviews that are done and it needs to be in the system. So if it's not established within our system, then there's no way for us to know. And just as a general insight, for those types of programs, there is, we can go and I say we, the county, i.e. also contract administrators, when they're developing these solicitations, can go and look and say, hey, if this is local small business reserve, what does the opportunity look like for me? Or what is, as a contract administrator, what does the opportunity look like for me to be able to, if this is required to be local small business, who's out there for this commodity, or whatever the case may be. So please, more information. Like Sharonda said, it's better to have more than not enough, because this is a key mechanism used. And if that didn't answer the previous question, please let me know, but I'm hoping that that gave you the guidance you were looking for. All right, so going back, let's go back to the main vendor resource page. Again, like I mentioned before, the getting certified, you have to make sure that you are certified. Like, it's one thing if you are one, but you have to be certified within the Montgomery County system in order to, have it effective for any solicitations. So that's where all of that information can be broken down. You go in, it gives you the rundown of it, all of the different information. And this is where Grace's group with business relations and compliance comes in. That's their focus on making sure that those programs are established, are successful, have the information they need, work with the vendors that are associated to it. So, look through here. If you feel like you're not confident about what the county does, or what you need to do in order to better understand this, look through here. There's a lot of information. But if you can't, if you still feel like you're not comfortable enough, by all means, reach out. So for MFD, we have Alvin Boss here, but then there is, so there are all these additional general numbers under the contact us that can give you that guidance on where to go for your general questions that could then, if we need to follow up with discussions, that's how we can work with you. General guidelines. This is just more of, the boundaries in which that we have to work under, and therefore vendors have to understand that these are the parameters of it. So this gets you into the terminology, like I showed you before, a pocket guide, how to do business. There's a generic thing in here that tries to give, enough information, if not to get you where you need to be, but enough to pique your interest or help your knowledge. and you can dig a little further through the website if necessary. But then again, current solicitation opportunities, those are the ones that are posted. And then it gets down to the laws, regulations, your frequently asked questions. One thing I want to point out is a lot of stuff, and this is even internally, we get asked like, hey, what's the process for an IFB? What should I expect? What's the time frame?
Okay.
What is the
Yes. I got a link now from Grace, so I'm in. Thank you very much. Okay.
If you could please mute, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. But you can come in here. A lot of people are like, what's the time frame? Who's responsible? What are the different steps? Well, right here where we have the solicitation process maps, if you pull that up, this gives a relatively good breakdown as to what should be expected. And it gives you the time frames where, like down here in the legend, anything that's green, it should be less than 2 weeks. Anything yellow, more than 2 weeks, and anything red, more than a month, because each different element of a solicitation and review process and all of that obviously has its ups and downs or additional lengths of time more than another. So this gives you that idea for time-wise, and then also you can look and see in the legend where it's showing the shapes, and it's the triangle is a third-party process, and essentially that means that's the department. They're the ones that are establishing the details for this. If you see the rectangle, that is clearly broken down as the procurement side of things. Those are the steps procurement handles. And then you see the other shape, which means that's a combination of both, like departments working on a little bit and we're working on a little bit. So you can go to our website, take a look at this, look at it in more detail. Again, if you have more questions, it will likely be answered in our website, but you can always reach out and ask for more clarification. But so that's the IFB, and then we have the RFP here. It's a lot more involved when you get into RFP. Obviously, there's more processes, more review. You get QSEs involved, but this at least gives you a general knowledge of what's a typical expectation. But just understand that it is not necessarily going to stick to this. There are always things that come up that could delay things much longer than what's expected, because if somebody advertised something and then there are a lot of questions at the pre-bid meeting that then need follow-up solicitation amendments, then all of that could get pushed out. If we run into an issue where something's not clear enough and we have to potentially either cancel it or postpone a solicitation so that things can get figured out and then redo it, obviously that's going to push it. So just understand, while this is a guide, it's not something that is a guarantee. Give me 1 second. I apologize. Okay, so that's that. Hopefully that helps give a little guidance as to expectations for what are typical solicitations. And then going over here with other resources, this is where you can go into, the procurement outreach events. We do the open houses. This year, we've tried to give you a little bit of heads up and provide you what that open house is going to be for. So if you don't need to come to all of them, at least you have a general heads up as to when we may cover something you're interested in. So we have the open houses. We also do, MFD events. There was one we did recently, I think a month ago or so. So we're always trying to do something to provide some insight. And then if there's anything in particular, it may lead us to, if we get questions on anything in particular regularly, it may lead us to doing something else. Or there are times that people reach out to us after we do one program and say, hey, would you mind coming and giving a presentation to this group of ours, like this local small business group, or whatever the case might be. So we're open to setting up additional opportunities if necessary, but we try to provide, regular opportunities just to give y'all information and get y'all more in tune, and provide an opportunity for knowledge into the more in-depth stuff for procurement. Another really good thing, we started doing how-to videos. This has been up here for a while. I mean, I can't say we started, like, it's been there for a while, but within the past couple of years, in order to help. So some of this is just the open houses, but it also is some detailed how-to videos of even learn about the IFB process. Like, these are resources that at your own pace, on your own time, you can come in here and potentially already have an answer to something, a question you have. And so we're going to try to build this out a little more. We're doing this not only for vendors, but we are also going to start doing this internally for, internal processes we're going through. So hopefully that can provide a little bit of guidance for you as well, if we're not immediately available to assist you walking through everything. And then these are just general resources for businesses, and to, as you can see, start a new business, the economic development group, which can help you. So it just gives you another direction towards things that are likely in your world, in your realm, that you could benefit from that accessibility. But that is the main stuff for vendor resources. I just wanted to run through and point out some of those specific things to help you out. If you, I can come back here. So solicitations and contracts, this is all available to everybody. So you can see what's posted for formals, what's posted for informals and opens, the bid tabulations for anything that's been recently opened, or I should say anything that recently closed, and once the bid tabulations and information is established, it would be posted. Proposed awardees, so after we get through the review phase, the department's done the responsiveness and responsibility check, and they give us back the recommendation to award. We would post it here, and that's what starts the 10-day process for trying to get the award documentation. And then just the general contract search, where, it takes you to Data Montgomery. One thing I do want to say about this is you could go in here and you can search whatever you think it may be. If you look over here in this download documents, there are going to be some that say documents not available. There are a couple of reasons. One of the main reasons is, please understand that not all documents will be posted because of confidentiality reasons or proprietary information reasons. So there are times that we have to be cautious of what is immediately put out there, but that does not mean you can't access it at all. If you needed to access anything that may not be posted, then I'm going to toss this over to Sharonda so that she can give you some insight. If what you're looking for is not available here, she'll give you insight into the MPIA request process. And so, Sharonda, I'll toss it to you. I will stop sharing my screen.
Okay. And I'm going to share my screen. So I'm going to help you guys with, I'm going to circle back to the projections page. 1 second. Because it ties in with what Melissa just mentioned, and it's going to help you as you're building your RFP, or if there's a solicitation, RFP or IFB, I'm sorry, if there's a solicitation that is of interest to you that you see here, one of the things that can help you with building that is to review our existing contracts. So for instance, say you're interested in the single family residential food scraps collection for recycling, and you want to start building a response for that RFP, or at least get history on this so you can build a better response for this RFP. One of the tools at your disposal is the contract search engine that Melissa just referenced. And I'm going to click here under number 4. It says to check the contract search engine. I'm going to just refer back to the title here. But if I click that link, it'll take me back to this listing here. And there are a couple of ways to filter. You can actually click the filter button, or just use this find in this data set. What I will suggest is to not be incredibly detailed with it. Don't put the entire title in there because it may not be worded the same, but put a few keywords. So food scraps, and hit your enter key. And there was a contract for food scraps. It's an existing contract. It has not yet expired, but since there is a pending RFP, you can use this to your advantage. Now, because it's an RFP, the documents are not available, as Melissa mentioned, for proprietary reasons, confidentiality reasons, but you can request this document. Since it falls in my lap, I'm the one responsible for getting this information to you. What you're going to want to do is send an email to, and let me go back to our website to show you where that exists, an email to me via poundpro.mpia@montgomerycountymd.gov, and we'll copy this into the chat. But when you send your email, you're going to be very descriptive of what you're asking for. Now, the Maryland Public Information Act is a law that requires us to provide documents to you. So if you're looking for information, if you're looking for something that doesn't reside in a document, like how much did you spend with this vendor? That's not really considered in PIA, but we will respond to that. This is mostly for documents that exist in our office, so contracts or solicitations that we handle. And there is a process. We do follow the law. There's a 30-day turnaround time, and that's put in place to allow us time for to review these documents. So if you're looking for proposals that someone submitted that ended up winning the contract for this, so the solicitation issued was 1127761, you can ask for the proposal of the winning bid or vendor or offerer. But we need time to allow that offerer or the contractor or time to review that for redactions. And then once we get their redactions, we shoot it over to our county attorney and they review their redactions and provide even further redactions if necessary, and there could be back and forth. So we do need that 30-day window of time. So if you're looking for an MPIA request for solicitation that's out on the street, you're going to run really close to not being able to get it in time for that IFB or RFP to close, because they're usually typically out for 30 days. So if you're on our solicitation projection page and you see something that is of interest to you, your best bet, once you look under the contract listing and the documents are not available, to quickly submit your response or request for information through the Maryland Public Information Act. So you can, again, send an email to that email address that I listed earlier and be very detailed with what you're looking for. And if there are any questions that I have, I'll be sure to reach out to you to give you information, give you the information you're looking for. Also, just another tool for you to use is there's a Spending Montgomery as well, in addition to Data Montgomery. So Spending Montgomery will give you information about how much we spent with that vendor. So if you were back at the Data Montgomery, and I'd lost that one, food scraps, and you just wanted to see how much we spent with this particular vendor, if you scroll over to the right, you find the vendor, Compost Crew Incorporated, a benefit corporation. And if you go to Spend Montgomery and type that vendor's name in, Compost Crew, it will start to look for it. You can click that link. And you can see a spending summary. Now it's going to show you for 2022. There's not much here, but if you click the checkbook, you can see the spend for this. Now it's going to include everything, but if you see contracts and services, that's going to show you how much that has been spent with our contract or on a contract. There could be things spent outside of the contract if it was less than 10,000 with the department, but you're going to look for contracts and services to see how much was spent on that contract. So that'll help you with the projections to get an understanding of maybe how much that contract is valued at, and to allow you to see the documents. So that's how you can find information, more information about a contract, and pull the documents to help you build your RFP or IFB. And Melissa, I'll turn that back to you if you want to add anything to that, or if there are any questions with what I just went over.
Okay. I'm good. I guess in general, I'm at the point where I think we're going to go ahead into general questions in case there's anything I need to get into more detail. One thing I'm realizing is my computer's lagging a little bit, so bear with me. I'm not sure what's going on, but as long as y'all can hear me, I just might be a little delayed in my camera. But so at this point, we can open it up to questions. We're happy to try to go into more detail if it's necessary. We can try to maneuver through the chat in case there's anything in there. Again, bear with me because my computer is not participating. Okay. So no questions in chat yet. Feel free to raise your hand or put the question in chat. Okay, there we go. I apologize for if I do not get this correct, but Mr. Nuke?
Ike Nweke.
Okay, Nuke.
Yes, thank you very much, Melissa. I'm Mike Nowicki from Reliable Care LLC. Sorry, I came in at the tail end of this open house meeting. I had some technical difficulties, so the first half I did not get. Hopefully, that information I can, pull up, in the video after, if that's being recorded,
Yep.
And for Miss Baltimore, thank you very much for your for your information that you've given. It will surely help us in trying to, navigate this maze. And yeah, it will lead to less questions to ask of you guys once we have that information that you presented. And to Grace, thank you very much for helping me connect to you guys in live as we speak. So that's it for me for now.
Okay. Yeah, so just to follow up, yes, this is being recorded and it will be posted on our website. So you'll have the ability to go and check out the first half whenever you have a chance.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right. Bethany, I will ask if you can help me just make sure I'm not missing something as these questions come in, but let's see here. Somebody has their hand raised. I can't see it all right now.
1919 Consulting.
Okay, let's go with that one.
Hey, how are you guys? I had a question. So based on the vendor page, right? And you guys said, hey, in order to get solicitations and get notification, you want to be registered on that page. Now, I also saw you go through quickly, like the certifications, like minority owned woman business. So do you have to have that certification in order to be registered? Or if you're just like a new, completely LLC with no certifications, can you just register just to see the solidifications? I know it's two different questions.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So for clarification, no, you do not have to be MFD or local small business registered or certified in order to register with the county. It's for anybody and everybody who's looking to do business, because not all of our solicitations are specifically for local small business. But there are programs that allow for local small, like the focus on local small business solicitations and also local business preference within the solicitation itself, because there are requirements within all of our solicitations for MFD participation, like MFD subcontracting, local small business subcontracting, etc. So it's more of, if you want to, it's better off that if you are certified, you go ahead and get all of that established, but it's not required to just do the general registration. It just helps you in the process of getting notifications for certain things. And also, if you are certified and other companies are looking for subcontractors that could help them meet their MFD or whatever the case may be, like you'll be put in a list, and we can assist vendors who are like, hey, I need to meet this MFD requirement. but I'm not sure of what companies there may be. Do y'all have a list? Can you provide it to me? So it's more like beneficial to you if you are,
Yeah.
versus not, it's not required.
And
Only
then I had
required if you're going to be expecting to use that in your advantage, basically.
got it. And I had one more question. As far as like there was two kind of bids that you guys had. You had RFP and what was the other one?
IFB.
IFB. What is IFB actually?
Okay. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to share my screen again real
Okay.
quick. So I would go to vendor resources, and to help you with all of the procurement terminology, if you go to this, you will be able to find that information here. So right here, invitation for bid, IFB, it would take you down to it. So it's a formal solicitation in which competitive sealed bids are invited through a public notice procedure, and it requires that bids be received by a specified time and date. And that will be with the specified time and date will be within the solicitation. It's for RFP and IFB both. They have a date and time that's associated to it. And then they're open publicly. That's an IFB. IFBs are open publicly. RFPs have a different process since there's the QSC and evaluation that comes involved. That does not follow the same thing. But the IFBs are evaluated solely based on the responsibility, responsiveness, and price. That's where you're basically, you have line items, you're giving a price to what you're willing to or what you're going to charge for that line item. If it's a fork, I will charge $5 for a fork, like whatever it may be. So it looks at the lowest bidder, basically, is how we establish off of the IFBs. But the RFPs go a different direction where it comes into quality and experience within work. So that's a little bit more involved.
Can I ask one more question? Does Montgomery County offer a course on how to write each one and what to look for?
No, we don't necessarily offer a course.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing, outreach events. So if you, again, back to the vendor resources, and then I
Mm-hmm.
went to the outreach events, we have our listing of all of our open houses. And one thing we did put in there in order to assist, I
Oh, I
mean, it's
see.
not a course that we just offer all the time,
Mhm.
but it's something, in February, we're looking to be able to provide some of that insight. But again, going to assistance in general, like
Mhm.
Sharonda said, if you want to look and see what's gone on in the past,
Mhm.
then
Go look at the details there.
yeah,
Got
like
it.
you can
Yeah.
look at the existing contracts and stuff like that. So
Thank you so much.
Melissa,
sure.
can
And
I
Grace,
chip in? Can I
yes,
chip in
Grace,
on
go
that?
ahead.
Yeah, so for helping you getting more resources for vendors to understand the process or how to write a good proposal or what is the best direction for you to go, which certifications is the best for you to pursue. Those type of things is not procurement function, but we do provide you contact information for some of the resources centers that we have or other organizations have that can help you with that. Bethany can put a link onto our chat. So that would include Women's Business Center or SBA's Small Business Assistance Center. So there are people there who can help you in details in terms of your business.
Yeah, and I have on the page that's pulled up, that's under the other resources. There are links to those that Grace just referenced. All right, so moving to the next hand up, I don't know who's first, so I'm just going to go who's at the top. I can't even see the whole name yet, so bear with me. Yusef Battle Cookie.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
I am using Yusef Battle with Cookie Yay. My name, this is, although this is his platform, my name is Shakita Battle. I couldn't unmute my platform at the meeting or put in my chat question. So he's obliged me, he's my husband. So my question, when it comes to the L, I believe it's L SBR for the solvents reserve for RFP, you have to first be registered with the small business reserve. But I was going to ask, must all the documentation be in at the time of submitting the RFP? Because you are asking for like taxes and stuff like that for additional information. But on the RFP, it is saying that you get 3 days after this event to be registered to turn in those additional documents. I'm just confused. Do you turn it in twice, or you know, if because you have to have already be in the system at the small business reserve before you submit the bid. Is that am I making, is that a clear question?
So I had a little bit of a hard time hearing you, but I'm going to repeat it and make sure that I'm understanding. So you're asking for clarification between, is it required that you be certified in those programs prior to a proposal being submitted for a solicitation versus guidance that's provided elsewhere that it has to be within 3 days? Is that what you were asking?
No, ma'am. I wanted to know
Sorry.
if it's the same. No, ma'am. You're doing awesome. I just wanted to know if it is the same to they're asking that in order for an RFP for you to submit a bid for the RFP, that you first be already at like approved as a small business reserve.
Okay.
But in order to do that, they are asking for 3-year taxes, leave, insurance, all that stuff to be uploaded. But yet on the RFP, it is saying you'll have 3 days to submit those documents within 3 days once we contact you. I am asking, do you submit it? You have to submit it twice, that 3-day thing on an RFP, or just once once they ask you for those documents?
Okay. Great.
Melissa, I think I
Yes,
can
Michael,
jump in here.
please. Thank
And
you.
that, yeah, I had a hard time kind of understanding the question too. But if I understand it correctly, um, what you're asking is initially say if there's a reserved RFP that comes out for LSBRP. LSBRP certified vendors are the only ones who can bid on that RFP. You need to be certified in our database prior to that solicitation closing. If you are not already certified, and when I mean certified, you spoke earlier about having the most recent 3 years of federal taxes, a copy of your lease, a copy of the most recent Maryland UI report. All of that has to be submitted to us in our database, and you have to be application pending, or you must already be certified. That's prior to the closing date. If we say August 19th is this RFP closes, if you are not certified in the database before August 19th, then you will not be considered. I think what's catching you up is, or what you may have read in the RFP, and it's understand that this is a twofold process. Like to have your stuff evaluated, you have to initially, like I said earlier, be certified or have your application submitted prior to closing. Say if you are you go through the evaluation process and they like you and your proposal is head and shoulders above everyone else, and you're the proposed awardee. So we want to actually make an award to you. I will fully certify you, verify again that you meet those requirements. Because understand, when you get fully certified, it's good for a 3-year period. So we may have certified you a couple years back and you're still fully certified in the database because those 3 years aren't up, but 2 years have passed. So therefore, you could have moved out of the county. You could have been super successful, and you're no longer under our revenue thresholds and things like that. That's when that 3-day period, I will reach out to you before we actually sign any contracts and say, hey, I need additional documentation to support that you still meet those requirements that we signed off on 2 years ago that we gave this certification. So those are the 2 steps I think that may be confusing you. So if we are going to fully certify you prior to award, then we contact you and we give you 3 days. But in order to even get to that point, you already have to be certified in the database, if that answers the question.
You said that you can be pending.
Yeah,
What
you
do
can be pending. Pending is that you supplied us with all the documentation, meaning the taxes and all that other stuff, and we're still reviewing it. But once you fill out that application in the database, then from that point on, it's going to show that you're pending, and it's going to show that date that you've actually, put that application forth, and that's going to be your pending status. Okay, so that will at least get your foot in the door. It'll get you the opportunity to have us review your response and everything. But like I said, if you were successful and your proposal is who we want to go with, we want to make an award, then I'm going to, say, hey, you filled out the application. We're still waiting on documentation, but before any contracts are signed, you need to show me that you meet the requirements of this program. And then that's when you'll typically get that second letter that says, hey, you've got 3 days to, supply us with this documentation.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for the question, and thank you, Michael, for jumping in.
No problem.
Just so you're aware, Michael Brown is the lead for the local small business program, so that's why he knew what he was talking about. He needed to jump in on that one, so thank you. Okay, so another hand raise is Dean, and I'm assuming it's relative to your question, possibly that you put in the chat, which I saw that, but please unmute yourself and let me know if that's correct and I can answer it.
Yes, that's correct. Thanks so much.
Okay. Yes, we are able to have meetings in the office, but we are working, like Grace mentioned in there, we are working a hybrid schedule, so we aren't all in on the same days, but you feel free to reach out and we can work on, we can work it out based on the schedules of when people are in or if there needs to be some shifting going on, but we're not completely closed, so to speak. It's just a matter of when people expect to be in or when people may need to be in. So we're not against it. We're not shut down, but we are working hybrid.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
All right. 11 o'clock on the dot. Yay. I hope that we provided some good information for y'all. Please feel free. Again, the contact information for everybody is on our website. Again, all the resources we can possibly think of, we're trying to provide to you. But feel free to reach out, follow up, let us know if there's something else that maybe we haven't covered or doesn't seem like it's going to be covered on any of our future open houses. And we would be happy to help and work with you. But otherwise, this will be posted. The recording will be posted in case anybody wants to reference back. That answers Marcelo's question in the chat. Yes, it's going to be posted on our website. Mr. Nuike.
Last, it's not a question, but a comment. I just wanted to thank you guys in that office, the Montgomery County Office of Procurement. You guys have been very responsive to emails, phone calls, requests for face-to-face meetings. So I wanted to just, give a shout out to your team. I think it has to speak to their leadership, and it filters down. So thank you guys very much for what you guys are doing, on behalf of small businesses in the county. That's all I have.
Thank you. That is appreciated, and the business relations and compliance group 100% handles the majority of helping with that reach out and interaction. So I definitely have to give kudos to that group. But by all means, even on the operations side, we're trying to be as responsive as possible. So we appreciate that feedback. All right, I think we will conclude now. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next month.